welcome to day 126 of the 300 Movie Challenge. Today we watched the highest grossing film of November 2004, which was The Incredibles!
Yay!
It's incredibly better than the last movie.
I know.
Oh my god. And it still had explosions.
I know, right? Did Shark Tale even have an explosion? It was all underwater.
I mean, it was explosively bad, so...
Yeah.
It exploded our brains.
But ding!
Oh my god.
But
That was from a very sad point in my childhood. Now this is a happy point in my childhood.
Yeah. It's interesting though watching this. Okay, so I watched it, a couple times when I was younger. But I watched it again somewhat more recently, like maybe a year or so ago.
Oh.
So I definitely am not coming into this like, well, not blind's not the right word, but like, not like, for example,
it hasn't been too much time.
Yeah, so I guess I don't have like as much of a moment, because again I saw this more recently. But I guess thinking back to when I saw it then, like, there's a lot that like I feel like I probably didn't understand when I was younger.
Yeah.
The dialogue, mostly the dialogue stuff, I was just like, oh, some of this is like, I'm like, I don't think I understood this as a kid or something, and kind of getting all the things in. Like, it was the whole, everything with like the insurance company and all that stuff. It's like, I'm pretty sure I didn't understand that at all. But now I'm like, oh, I get it now. Okay. Yeah.
I feel like I better understand like what Bob was going through now.
Yeah. Mr. Incredible.
It's interesting because like you can kind of think of this as like it's similar, and it's like they kind of hint that like that might be like Helen's like thought process is that he's like cheating. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of similar in like the emotional aspect of it, right? So it's like they're addressing that, and also like, just like actual problems that like a family would have, right? Yeah. Like, but they, especially like the cheating thing, like that's kind of like hard to show in like a kids movie, right?
Yeah, especially in a kids movie.
Yeah, so they did it by having it not be actually cheating, but something that's emotionally like the same kind of thing. So it's an interesting way of kind of tackling that subject while still having it be approachable, right? Yeah, because he was lying and she saw the hair and everything, right. But actual thing that he was lying about was something different, even though there was a woman that was there. And they had no
real relation at all.
They had no real relationship.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't try to like rope her into it. So with that,
I was thinking about like how to describe this movie, and I feel like a good way to describe it is that this is a movie that everyone can watch. Like, kids can watch it, adults can watch it, and everyone can like it, because there's something there for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, there's like something there for everyone, and it's also relatable to everyone, because the kid, you can relate to Violet and Dash a lot. Yeah. And then now that we're older, we can see where the kids are coming from, but now we can also see where the adults are coming from too now.
Right. Yeah. It's like everyone's flawed, but in realistic ways, and to the point where like you still, you like them still and you want them to succeed. Because like if you think about it, like especially before the end of the movie, their family dynamic isn't very good.
No.
Right? Like, the parents argue, and even then it's like they're not that great parents. Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it's an interesting way of looking at it, because like for example, Helen like kind of yells at them and kind of is not good at explaining things, and stuff like that. So it's interesting though how they portray this in this way, because a lot of people don't have that great families, so it's kind of like showing how to actually, it's kind of showing something that's very difficult to talk about, but they do it, and it's it is something that's important for a lot of people. So that's the thing they definitely appreciate a lot more now. And one thing, just to kind of go back into like I guess the more of like the thing that the kids would like about it, but this is kind of anyway. It's kind of just amazing for me to think about that, like, in terms of like when this was being made, it was basically being made like 15 years ago.
Oh yeah,
that is
and
true.
It still looks like really good.
Watching the movie, I felt like it was still very current.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it didn't age whatsoever either.
No, because like for what? Well, the people look like people, but again, they're still like proportioned a little weird, but they're proportioned in like that animation kind of style where it's like their features are exaggerated for their personality and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
It is very comic-y that way, so that it works.
Right, but like,
and it's amazing to think about because we just watched the horrible atrocity that was Shark Tale, and that the animation in that was atrocious and everything. And then you compare it to this, and it's just like, because you saw Val's mentioned it plenty of times, where you see in Pixar they kind of purposely didn't make a movie focused on people because they were still testing things.
Yeah.
And they were testing things out and stuff, and then when they finally did make it,
it works.
It works, and it's pretty satisfying to watch and such.
Yeah, and not even, like, for example, the two things I was focusing on in terms of animation quality was, like, their hair.
Yeah, especially when they fell into the water and stuff.
Yeah, so there's that, but then also, like, just the whole, like, jungle island, like, looks really good.
Yeah.
The backgrounds and, like, all the plants and stuff, like, it works really well, and it's just really impressive to think that, like, you know, this came out so much. Like, again, for example, Moana, right? Recent movie, and, you know, of course it looks really good, and I'm sure that if you were to really look into the exact details of, like, Moana's hair, or, like, how the water exactly looks, yeah, I'm sure Moana looks better, right? But it's not that big of a difference.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just really interesting.
It's just polishing.
Yeah. So that's definitely a plus. And then the action, like, one thing that I like about this is that even though, you know, it's like superheroes, okay, but like, I don't know, to be fair, I don't have a great history with superhero stuff, but it a lot of times, I guess what I like is that how the characters like work off of each other in the action stuff.
Yeah.
With their powers and how they kind of combine things around that way. I think makes things more interesting. And especially, okay, I guess we should clarify that as of recording this, Incredibles 2 is not out yet. It's out in like a few weeks. So we don't know what's, you know, I mean, there's some trailers, but like we don't know what's going to happen in it. And so if anything, I'm just so like, why did you not make freaking sequels to this like so much sooner? Because this is like such potential, because now it's basically opened up to, first of all, more villains, but also more heroes, right?
Yeah.
So like, no, if anything, oh my god, I had the greatest idea of all time. This needs to be a show.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
They need to make this into a show with, like, you know, different villains, different heroes, that kind of stuff. And because this universe with like these kind of characters with the powers and this kind of dynamic would work so well as in an episodic form. It's just like, I want to see more of this, like, so much. Just not just the characters, but also the environments and like new characters and within the environments. And it's like, instead they made fucking Cars 2, and it's just like, why?
Why didn't they? Because like this movie is extremely popular, and I don't know why they didn't make either a sequel or a TV show.
Yeah, like, for example, again, as of recording this, there is a Big Hero 6 TV show that I think they did, like, preview the first episode, but I haven't seen it, but I think they're basically going to start kind of running it, actually, again, I think in a few weeks. And, like, I think that works. They did it. Yeah, I think that works. That's a good idea for a show, but honestly, comparing Incredibles to Big Hero 6, I think Incredibles makes more sense than Big Hero 6 to have a TV show. I'm not saying Big Hero 6 is going to be bad or anything like that. I have no idea. It could probably be great. I'm just, in terms of concept and, like, what they can do just inherently with the world they have, I think Incredibles has more potential. So it's just kind of like, oh shit, I like just thought about this, and now I'm like psyching myself out because it's like, fuck, it's like such a good idea.
Go work for Pixar.
Oh yeah.
No,
okay.
he has to go stand in front of like Disney Studios and be like, "Why did you
give me Incredibles TV?"
But at least they're making the sequel, and at least they can, because especially now that they have the family, and I'm sure there's still going to be some family dynamic stuff they're going to be working through in the sequel, but now that at least they have their powers, they're comfortable with using them with each other, now I want to see this family do more stuff together, and really seeing how that works, because I really hope they don't kind of reset and have everything kind of fall apart and have it come back together again, because that's just, we've already seen that. We don't need to see that anymore, you know? Yeah. So I hope they just do more.
Considering how they did Toy Story 2, I think they'll be fine.
I think so. I'm just, just covering my bases here. So yeah, that's what I want to see. I really want to see the sequel. Definitely really excited for that. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I really like this movie quite a lot. Again, I liked it as a kid. I like it now. The messages with like the family stuff and again the dynamic for that, I think does make it like as why I said like important for kind of everybody. And it's just a fun movie. Like, it's really fun, and there's not much else to talk about in terms of like, any specific. Oh, okay. There is one thing I should mention that we should talk about. The villain.
Yeah.
He's actually, you know how for superhero movies they always make the villain like mustache twirling, petting a big fluffy white cat. The cat is probably more evil and everything. But in this, they actually made the villain, you actually understand the villain, and you also see his point of view a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like really like sick, but you understand where it came from.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if anyone's watched much of Legend of Korra or even just the first season, it's kind of like the whole like resentment between the people who the have-nots to the haves. Yeah. And I thought that was an interesting commentary, especially since like the superheroes, they did actually get consequences because they acknowledge that when you fight crime with super villains, there is collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the second season of Justice League Unlimited, which I won't get into at all because I don't want to spoil it at all. But it's that kind of idea of like, what if something bad happens? What can like normal people do about it, right?
Right.
So
right.
And if they handle it well, it's done really well, and I think it's done. It works well here, and it's one of, again, it's you understand his motivation, but he's still, he's
still sick.
Yeah. So it balances. It's that good balance of like, a villain that you still kind of feel bad for, but at the same time he is an asshole. So it's like but it works. It's a good balance there. So I like him quite a lot in that sense. I like a lot of small things. Actually, I just noticed there is one thing I noticed for the first time with this movie. It was when Mr. Incredible, he's coming back from the fire. Okay, he's going back home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As he's walking in the house, he's whistling the main theme.
Oh.
So I was just like thinking that's kind of funny. It's like he's whistling his own theme song, kind of. So I just happened to notice that. It was like, oh, that's interesting. So there's a lot of like little things like that that are nice.
One little thing that I also liked was when you mentioned the jungle, I was going to bring up the fact that they did a lot of the shading for the jungle really well and stuff. Because you know how normally they don't care too much about how the characters look under like shaded plants and stuff too much.
Yeah.
But in this, it actually looked really nice and real realistic in that sense too.
Yeah.
And another thing that a friend of me and my aunt brought up when she watched it too was that she didn't. Watching it now, you also understand how dark some elements are because of when you see him looking through the computer and seeing all the superheroes that died too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And some there are some like moments in the dialogue where it gets kind of like dark too.
Yeah. It's definitely that is a good moment where kind of like seeing the weight of like, realizing what was actually happening with the robots and stuff like that. It was handled quite well there. So
yeah,
the only thing I don't know. The only thing that does feel kind of weird is like, this is probably like honestly like the only quote unquote complaint I have, and this is so minor, is like, well, actually, this is Tara. You asked what was going on when like he falls down the waterfall and he's in the cave and he like sees like Kronos on the wall.
Oh yeah.
And it's like that's the password for the computer. It's like, wait, how does that
Why is that there?
Yeah, why is that there? How did that get there? Does that mean the guy like the because there was the dead body in there, right? So that means is he like figure out the password, but then went back to the cave and wrote it on the cave and then died. Like, wait, what? Like that doesn't make any sense.
I guess maybe he assumed that one day someone would find it, but that's the only explanation I can think of.
Yeah, it's kind. I mean, again, it's so minor, right? But it is. I don't know. So it's always been something that's like bothered me a little bit. But again, it's just.
It's easy to overlook.
Yeah. If that's the only complaint, then...
Yeah, honestly, I can't really think of anything else I can say is an issue, like, at all for me. Oh, even, like... Actually, speaking of the theme, the music is actually really good.
Yeah.
It's really on point with, like, the mood and everything.
Yeah, it's like that kind of, you know... I don't know the word for it. The stylized with, like, the kind of the jazzy elements or whatever. It's, like, it's both kind of nostalgic, but also at the same time, it makes it stand out from like other Pixar films and things like that. So it definitely works well in terms of making it seem unique but also familiar at the same time. So yeah, lots of good stuff there too.
So if you haven't seen it, I don't know what's wrong with you. Go see it.
Yeah.
Especially since by the time that you see this review, both movies would be out.
Yeah. So go if you haven't seen this one, watch it. If you haven't seen the sequel, go watch that. And hopefully by then we've also watched it once.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah.
And hopefully we'll be doing a review for it.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Later down the line.
It's we try to like predict like what's gonna win like the months that we haven't gotten to yet, and this June 2018 has like 2 big movies, and we have like everything I've looked points to like there's no consensus like which is gonna do better, and it's like, oh, what's gonna happen?
If the other one wins, I'll be so salty.
I'll be so sad.
Like, and the thing is, the other movie is not even that bad. It's just like, but it's Incredibles 2.
Yeah, because the other franchise has been milked to death. We've already seen so many movies from them.
And we're gonna see more. So, yeah, but... this is a good movie.
It was. It makes you feel nice and bubbly inside, unlike the next movie.
Oh god, the next movie. Oh, shit.
Fuck.
Speaking of second movies, this is not the sequel I wanted to see. At all. Oh, no.
I really miss how we had Lord of the Rings at the end.
Yeah, that was nice.
So we could at least look forward to the end of the year in that sense.
Yeah.
Now it's gone.
Now it's gone. And then we get this.
They should have extended that series
instead. I mean, they totally could have. Otherwise, like, they could have hacked off an hour off the other movies,
Just actually, honestly, they probably could. Like, I mean, they'd have to, reorganize the scenes and shit. But honestly, they probably could pretty easily make 4 movies.
Yeah.
But again, like, obviously, it goes against the book. It's 3 books and all that kind of shit. So there's obviously that. But whatever.
They split Harry Potter's last book into 2 movies.
Yeah,
that's true.
And then they did that with Twilight.
What else?
And Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Hunger
And well,
Games.
they're kind of doing it with Avengers actually too. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We haven't seen Infinity War, so we can't really say anything. But.
Right.
But we know at least that originally it was officially titled Infinity War Part 1, and then Part 2 is next year. But officially they took out the part titles, but they haven't said what the title of the next one is, but it's still the same idea, I think. So
I guess we'll find out.
Whatever. Yeah, we'll find out when the time comes. So, yeah, is there anything else to say about this incredible movie. Ha 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 ha.
Go watch it.
Yes.
Go.
It's also good to be announcing again to such an opening movie.
Yes.
Yeah, you struck gold.
And then you're not going to.
No. It's like
you got your one gold nugget.
I was like having a very nice day, taking a stroll in the park, and then I step into a big mud puddle.
Or the poo that someone didn't clean up. For their dog. Anyway.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.